Alright, today I'm going to show you how to bring a character with an animation from Mixamo.com into Unity and then trigger the character to move using Playmaker. So I start off with, I have a Playmaker scene here, and you can see that I have some logic set up. When I approach this sphere, then this pill is going to move from this cube to this cube. And that's just the same logic that we went over before. So I have game object, capsule, moves from spot 1 is the name of one of the cube to spot 2, and then when it's finished, it's going to move back to spot 1. As you can see, I go in here, there it moves, then it moves back. It's all based on a trigger enter and trigger exit. So let's bring a character into this. There's a site called Mixamo.com. You can register for a free account using Adobe, because Adobe owns Mixamo now. And after you sign on, then you go to Browse Animations, and they have all these different character packs in here. But here, if you click on characters, you can see a bunch of different characters. Obviously, a lot are zombies and wizards and things like that. Let's try to find one that's kind of normal. All right, so this character is named Shay. And right in the browser, you can then kind of see what this character does. So that's what she looks like, and she's in the T pose. You then click this button, Find Animations, and there are all these different motions that have been recorded using a motion capture studio. So we can find some kind of maybe a walking animation, although if you want to make the person kick, there's a roundhouse kick, there's a jumping, there's all kinds of different things, but I'm just going to choose a simple walk. That's kind of a strange walk. Let's find a more normal walk. Well, you can come up and search, so I'll look for walk. And here's all the different types of walks. This one looks like a drunk walk. I don't think I really wanted a drunk walk. Here's a happy walk. Why don't we do a happy walk? Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right. So when you find that, then you kind of change the speed a little bit, make it work exactly the way you want, fix the stride, do all that stuff. Then I click Add to my assets. And up at the navigation, you see you have Store and then Assets and Products. So if I click on My Assets, then I will see all the different animation or characters and the animations that I've added here. So here we've got Shay, and what I want is the walking animation. So you have to click on this little funnel when you move over the thumbnail. When you click on the funnel, let's try that again. Oh, actually, if we had more than one animation that we had added, then with the funnel, we could see the different ones and we could select the one we want. In this case, I just added one. So now I have my walking animation just like I wanted. If I click Q download, then these are some important settings. The format you want to use is called FBX for Unity, not just FBX, because we're using Unity. And then you can do things with skin, without skin. What that basically means is if you just want the animation and you don't care, like you've already downloaded the character, you could switch this to without skin. But we actually want the character with the character's skin and the animation that is applied to the skeleton inside that character. So you can't see it, but there actually is a skeleton inside that is rigged. That's the terminology. And I'm going to change the frame rate to 60 frames per second. So I have FBX for Unity with skin, 60 frames per second. And then I queue the download. And then you can see over here it's processing it. Along with, you can see all the other things that I've downloaded, so I'm not going to get any of those. And now it says I can download Shay. So it says FDX for Unity, so we're good. So click here, download. You can see it's 27 megs. Not too bad. So kind of wait for that to download. All right, so then you find that in your Finder. So here I have Shay walking. I'm going to go over here to Unity in another window, go into my project, and then just so I don't lose stuff, I'm going to make a folder in here called characters. So we have characters right here, and then you can then just drag the FBX for that character into your assets folder and wait for it to import everything. Now that I'm importing, Unity wanted to make some changes, and you can just go ahead and say fix now. It's making changes to the maps. This is the textures that go around uh, the structure, which is known as a mesh. So I'm going to let it go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to put my character in the scene. So I can see I have characters, and just going to open this up so you can see I have Shay walking. If I click on the arrow, you'll see all the different aspects of this very complex character. I mean, everything from the eyeballs to the clothing to hair, boots, right? So that's important to be aware of, is that this character has a lot of different parts in it. And then here I see walking. That is the animation. Okay. So for now, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to throw it into my scene, just like any other object. All right, and then let's go take a look at the character. The first thing you'll notice is, it looks like a zombie. Well, the reason for that is because all of these different aspects of that character, the body, the bottoms, the eyes, they don't have the right shading, okay? So right now they're all by default, I don't know why Unity does this, they're set to be transparent, which is why she looks like a zombie. So we have to go through what I call the de-zombification process here. And so if you go up into the hierarchy and you open up the character you downloaded, you see all the different parts. So if I click on body, I come over here, and then notice in the inspector I see what's called a shader. So I don't actually want to change that, but if I open this up, then I'll see rendering mode. It says transparent. If I change that to opaque, then look at what happens to the face. Now I can see the face. It's not transparent. So you want to do that for all the different parts here. Yeah, we probably don't want her to have transparent pants, right? It's a little weird. So opaque pants. Okay, now she's got her pants on, which is good. This is default. That's already set to opaque. The eyes are set to opaque already. Hair, open this up. Let's change that to opaque. We'll get to this one in a second, the hips. I'm going to ignore that for now. The shoes, we'll change that to opaque. And the tops, change that to opaque. Okay. Now one thing you also noticed is, so everything is opaque now, but she looks kind of shiny. So you can also change that, and if we want to give her, she kind of looks like she's, she's glistening here, right? So we can go to her, let's see here, click on the body, this is kind of her skin. And down here in the rendering mode, there's some other options that you can select here, and smoothness is one of them. So right now it's very smooth, and notice if I increase this, she'll look even shinier. So I'm going to change that down to be more rough, and you can see she's a little less shiny. So that's how you get rid of that shiny look. And then for the hair, yeah, the hair, she kind of looks like the people in that Robin Williams Toys movie. So let's change the hair and make that a little bit more rough. All right, so now it looks a little better. You know, what kind of jean jacket is shiny? None. So we're going to change the clothing too. All right, so the tops, reduce that. And there's a bunch of other options here you can kind of mess around with to just make your character look how you want it. Metallic is kind of an interesting one. You increase that, it just makes things a little more, I don't know, like acid wash like for the jeans. Oh, let's not forget the shoes. So I'll make shoes like that. Let's give her metallic shoes. Why not? Let's see what happens. All right. So it looks like a pretty good character, right? You notice that her eyes, too, don't look kind of weird and white, like she's Children of the Corn, like before. All right. I'm just going to save so that I don't lose stuff. Save early and often. All right. And then the next step is to trigger the animation. There are different types of animations in Unity, and basically in Unity 5 they upgraded the way animations work, and Playmaker cannot really trigger those in the new version. So you need to go up here into the inspector for your animation, and I'm sorry, like you click on the very top, so Shay walking. Then up here it says model. You want to click on select, okay, and then this rig. Uh, So model and then rig, right? So make sure that you select both of those. And you want to change the animation type from generic to legacy. Very important. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to trigger this. All right, then I click apply, and it makes a few changes. If we then kind of click off and click on this person again, then we'll see we have this animation and walking, and then it says play automatically. Now, I'm just going to show that the animation works. So if I click play, you can see how, did you see she sort of moved, but then she stopped? Okay, and then if there's my logic too. So we know that the animation works, we didn't have to loop it. So we'll do that next. Okay, we're going to resume now with triggering the animation, but there's one thing that I got slightly wrong before in Mixamo. One very important thing you want to do when you find the animation you want and you want to download it, you want to select a checkbox that says in place for the animation so that the animation is moving, I'm sorry, standing still rather than moving. And so I'll just kind of show you where that's at. When you find something, so we'll find our character again here. Okay, so here we have Shay, and then we find an animation, find a walking animation. There's our confident walk. Over here on the right, well, it's actually not the one. Then over here you see that it says you have speed and then you have stride and everything. Down here there's a checkbox for in place. If I select that, notice that she's not moving on the grid. If I uncheck it, she is moving. So you don't, for the animations you get from Mixamo for Unity, you want them to be happening in place because we're going to use an iTween move to actually make the character move from one place to another, if that makes sense. So here we have a nice walk. Well, that's kind of fun. She's kind of moving her hands up. I choose in place here. All right, here we go. Oh, I like that walk. Okay. Then I add that to my assets and I download that. All right. So I already downloaded another one just like that. So let's go and find that animation. Looks like it's making some changes to my assets here. Okay, so I have my character, and here you can see the name of this character is Shay walking in place, rather than just walking. See that, walking in place. All right, so we already made sure that it was rigged as legacy, which is good. But there's another thing we need to do, which is make sure that the animation will loop. And so next to rig, there's a tab called animations. And if you select that, there's something called wrap mode, which will be set to default. You want to change that to loop. And then at the very bottom, you also want to say loop. And basically, I know that's not very logical, but what it's doing is you start here. It's almost like it's telling Unity what to do in order. So whenever the animation starts, you're saying you want it to begin a loop, and then when it gets to the end of that, you want it to continue looping. And then you click apply. If you don't do that, what's going to happen is when you trigger the animation, it'll happen just once, and then your character will just stop moving, and it gets very frustrating. So remember to change the wrap mode. All right, so we've done that. Now we're going to pull our character in. Double check, make sure it's de-zombified. Yep. Okay, now my sphere is what Playmaker is using to trigger things. So I click on the sphere and I go to my Playmaker logic. Oops, sorry. There we go. And you can see I have, so state one trigger enter, and I had already added this, but let me just remove it. So you want to then, I have an iTween already that's actually applied to the pill, but I want to add an action for playing animation. So you go here and you choose play animation, you add that action to the state, and then it says, oh, I need to have a component. What component do you want me to use? Well, in this case, I'm not using the owner. I'm going to use a different object, right? Because I'm not going to be animating a sphere. I'm going to be animating Shay walking in place. So I can then select Shay walking in place. And then here, animation name, I'm going to choose the walking in place animation. And then let's see if this works. So now if I click, oops, if I click play up here, oh, well, it's animating, which is great, but it's not animating based on my logic. The reason for that is that when I added this character over here under animation in the inspector, notice that it says play automatically, and that's checked. So you have to uncheck that. Now we'll try again. Okay, now Shay is not moving. That's good. I'm going to move up. Okay, now Shay is doing the walk. And as long as I'm inside this collider here, she's walking. If I leave, well, looks like she's still walking. So the good news is we could get her to start walking, but she's not stopping. And you have to kind of fiddle around with this here a bit. There we go. If you check stop on exit, I believe that's going to make it stop. That's when you exit this this trigger. Right, so now I enter. Okay, now when I exit, then it stops. So that's how you trigger an animation based on some kind of a state change. And just to show again, here's all of the different settings here. So we have play animation, specify game object, Shay walking in place. It's going to play the walking in place animation. And then we say stop on exit. And the last thing we'd want to do is if we want that character to move from one place to another, we already have something set up here for our capsule, right? So I'm going to change the iTween to move Shay instead. And I want Shay to go to spot 2. And then when I'm done, I want Shay to then go to spot 1. So instead of the capsule, we're going to choose Shay. And now when we push play, she should both move. Oh, well, she animated and she moved very quickly. All right, so we're getting closer here. And you probably have already discovered with iTween, there's this variable here called delay. I can increase that to, in this case, I'll say 10 from 0. Now let's see what happens. Well, there's something wrong with my logic. We can see that it moved a little bit slower. So just kind of like fiddle around with the logic in here. But that's how you kind of tie all these different elements together. We have a character that we find in Mixamo. We find an animation. We make sure that it's an animation in place. We bring that into Unity. We de-zombify it. We change the animation type to legacy. We go to the animations tab and set it to loop twice. Then we go into Playmaker. We trigger an animation, and we also trigger an iTween move too. And with that, you can then make all kinds of things happen in an interactive story. So we'll go through this in class, but if you need to kind of review, you can come back and watch this video. Good luck.